What's happening, guys? Chief J here. Figured I'd make a vlog after the bike reveal, talking about why I ended up getting the FZ6 over some other options I had. So, unsurprisingly, the first reason actually is money. This bike really fell into my lap. It was a great deal, and I really couldn't pass it up. Aside from that, the FZ6 was already on my short list because I had certain needs that I wanted in my new bike. And the primary one was distance, actually. I wanted a bike that I could ride, you know, out of state, frankly. I've already done halfway across the state on my DRZ, so I knew I could do that, but I really wanted something that I could tour long distance. However, I didn't want to go with something that was too biased towards touring, because I'm not a big guy, first off, but really aside from that, I knew that if I got something that was too big and bulky, like I even had an opportunity to actually buy an FJR 1300, but the problem with something like that was it's too much bike for anything but really long distances. And with my work and school schedule and all that, you know, I know it's not like I can do a long distance trip monthly. I can really only do one every few months at most. So buying a bike where I wouldn't be able to really ride it more than like a handful of times a year just didn't make sense. As much as it would have been the best bike for those few times a year, I wouldn't have ridden it any other time, and I didn't want that. I wanted something that I could not only take on a long distance trip, but I could also just ride around town, and it wouldn't be too big and bulky for that. The other thing was, while on one hand I wanted a touring bike, on the other hand, I really kind of wanted a super sport as well. For no practical reason, just, you know, how can you not love a super sport? But I'm 20 years old. And while it's not that I couldn't afford the insurance, it was higher than I really was looking to pay. Not to mention South Florida, it's just not the place, in my opinion. It's not the best place to have a sport bike. Theft rates are, I don't think it's the worst place for theft, but it's not the best either, and I don't want to have to be like constantly paranoid about theft. And another thing was, I'm used to, with the DRZ, basically sitting in a bolt upright seating position. That's what I'm used to. And because of that, any bike that sits forward, like any sport bike basically, and especially a super sport, I mean, I could pick up the technique, but it's very different from what I'm used to, and it's a big jump. And I basically would have to ride both. Like, it'd be hard to kind of switch between them, because it's a totally, to me anyways, because it's a totally different riding position. And frankly, I like the more upright riding position. So that left me with not too many options that really kind of ticked all the marks that I wanted. I looked a little bit at the V-Strom 650, which was definitely a comfortable bike, reliable and great all around, but let's be honest, it's not really it's not that sporty. So that was kind of, I ended up kind of ignoring that. I looked at some super sports, but again, the insurance was high, and the position was not ideal for me, the seating position, and it was just overall, it didn't seem like the right thing for me. And then I came across the FZ6, and I saw a couple of them used on the used market and all that, and they were going for good prices. And I mean, it's upright, they look pretty good. It's got that sick undertail exhaust, which is really nice for having saddlebags, because I don't have to worry about the exhaust messing up the bags or being in the way. And it's an R6 motor. It's not tuned exactly the same, but it is an inline 4, so it kind of has a lot of the same the characteristics I was looking for in wanting a super sport. So the FZ6 had been on my short list for a while, and basically this one came up and it worked. It was kind of like my DRZ. I spent a long time I spent a long time looking for my DRZ before I found the one I ended up buying. And that patience was definitely, it was worth it. So yeah, the patience was worth it. This bike came along, it was a good price. It was everything that I was looking for, basically. So I jumped on it, and now I have it. So I guess in a roundabout way, that's basically why I have an FZ6 now. It was one of the few bikes that just did pretty much, it ticked all the boxes of what I was looking for. Super sport style motor, upright seating position. Insurance is dirt cheap. I'm paying actually less on this. Part of it's due to the multi-policy discount, but I'm paying less on this than I actually am monthly on my DRZ for the exact same level of coverage, which is kind of unreal, actually. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Bwah!